Look, me lad. See that? The buckles on me shoes? Why, I'm...
Welcome back to another episode of Hollywood Interviews. We're here with the legendary Mark Holton. Mark, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. I've been cooking chili all day and it came out hot.
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
That's the only way to do chili is hot. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's got to be. And I haven't eaten dinner yet, so now I want chili.
Good.
All right, Mark, how did you get started in this crazy world of film and television?
Well, I started in high school my freshman year with a little speech, won a little gold medal, stayed with speech, went to tournaments, ended up at nationals my junior year, got a little college money to go to school, and a scholarship, I think they call those nowadays. Mm-hmm. And then, I just got to the point to where, I got tired of doing non-union dinner theater, and even did a radio stint for a little bit that just sucked my soul dry. And, I just decided, man, I've got to get out of here. I've been going to Manhattan and watching shows with my university on the cheap, every spring. And I was trying to decide, well, am I going to go east or am I going to go west? And I saw an actor on late night TV being interviewed, and they said, well, why did you go to LA instead of Broadway? And he said, well, I was from a small town, and I just knew that psychologically it would be a lot easier for me to rub bumpers than elbows.
Whoa.
Okay, there's my answer. And now I had never been to Los Angeles, but that's where I decided to go. You're young and stupid, and God was looking after me, and that's how I made it to the West Coast. And I won't bore you with any more of that, unless you want me to dig down. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. Well, looks like now did you do anything before you got your appearance on Webster, or was Webster your first?
I was doing improvisational theater. I think I had done one or two waiver theater projects, but unless you have a SAG card, it's tough to get an agent. It's tough to get work, and that kind of picking it up from what I was just talking about, and I should have followed through with that. I had a friend that had been to LA, and he made good friends with this guy out there. And he said, hey, when Mark gets out there, can you give him some pointers? Tell him, areas to stay the heck away from, where you want to, look for an apartment. He's never been out there. And he goes, well, where's he staying? He goes, I have no idea. He goes, well, you can stay with us. So I get there and, move my stuff in, to my little corner. And it turns out his wife was an assistant casting director for Paramount. Ooh. And she would have these grueling days to where she would have every actor in Hollywood that could possibly, fit a role. And she'd have to read against them over and over and over, the same stuff. So she said, you want to come in and read against these other actors? I said, yeah, sure, that'd be great. Go on the Paramount lot. Wow, that's really cool. So I did that, and I ended up going all the way through to the end with Webster and reading against some really, great pros that I grew up watching on television. Had a blast doing that. It was a mind blower. I was, of course, just awestruck, starstruck by a lot of the actors that I got to read with. And when it was all over with, they said, guess what? We're going to write you into the last episode of the season. So thank you very much. And that's how I got my SAG card. And then I got the SAG card, and I got an agent, and I started getting auditions. So it just, there was a lot of divine intervention. And, I've, the old, I forget who said it originally or whatever, but when asked, how you doing, you always said better than I deserve.
I heard that all my life growing up. Yeah. That's absolutely excellent. No, that's a very great, inspiring tale. Dustin and I have been in a few things. We've got background roles on the Righteous Gemstones here in Charleston, and ultimately would love to get our SAG cards and move on. And that is a great way to make that happen. And thank you for sharing that story. I do want to also mention that I really like your Hawaiian shirt. I'm a Hawaiian shirt aficionado. I'm glad I didn't wear mine, because then everyone would be like, why are they matching? But I do say that that's a very, very great shirt. Mark.
Thank you very much. This is fresh out of a secondhand shop.
That's where I get all my stuff. Oh my
yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. I lost a lot of weight, and I ended up with 2 13-gallon bags of shirts. Everything from the t-shirt to the dress shirts, and I was down to 3 dress shirts. So I had to, start Amazon, help Amazon, with the pants, the shirts, and everything. And then this just and the great thing about it was, it's brand new. It's got a label in it. I guess you probably recognize it. I'm not that label conscious, but the damn thing was half price.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not even going to tell you how much I paid for it, because it would make you cry.
This shirt and this hoodie came from a thrift store just earlier today. I have a very similar situation. I lost a whole bunch of weight 6 months ago and had to get all new everything, just switch into a keto diet and walking everywhere. And it's the show. You didn't realize how much you throw away, and I need clothes. I need all my clothes are gone. Yeah.
Well, I have a theory that the best stuff, if you come across it, either comes from a dead guy or a previously fat guy like us.
Wow. That's a hell of a theory. Yeah.
That's like, damn, I never got to wear that. Well, I'll never get to wear it now.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I mean, it's all character. If you believe in someone's mojo and things, I've looked and I was like, that suit's definitely from a dead man. They just pulled that right off of that. But speaking of dead man, it's kind of a nice segue. You've known for some of the greatest pop culture movies of all time. Let's just be honest here. And we're going to talk about, Pee Wee Herman, Pee Wee's Big Adventure. And I mentioned Dead Guy because of Tim Burton. At the time when you worked on that film, was there any idea of what his style would be or who he would be as a director? It was one of his first films, and kind of what was it like on the set of Pee Wee?
Well, I had not seen Frankenweenie at that point. I had, very limited idea of Paul's story, really, except for catching him on Light Night.
Sure.
And so, the script revealed a lot to me, and then being on set and seeing how all the other little pieces were falling together, it was pretty easy. In very short order, I figured out, what I was part of was something different. Now, I didn't know how it would be accepted, but it was it was a blast making it.
Absolutely. I loved showing my kids that, because it's passing the torch, and anytime you can do that, experiencing, things that I loved as a kid. And that's one of the reasons we love having you on the show, is so that the whole world, because it's all TikTok. I mean, let's be honest, also, it's all TikTok and social media. So having, a spotlight for such a great actor and a legend is one of the reasons we love having you on the show. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Going from Pee Wee's Big Adventure, you went right into Teen Wolf. What was the experience like on that set?
It was a good place to learn. Of course, you're on a court all day long and sweating, and I'm watching the director and them setting up for shots and going back and forth. So I learned a lot, and the bleachers were full of extras. So it was a good time to learn, and they were easy lessons to learn, and the role wasn't very big, but it kind of grew as we shot, and some of that was with Michael J. Fox's blessing, and the director was why don't we have Chubbs do that? Or whatever the situation was. And yeah, that'll work. So it grew and it grew and it grew. But initially, it was written that the Hollywood formula of the fat friend that's always, got a chunk of chocolate bar between his teeth, was how it was written. But I was, they gave me a chance to, to play that kid that wasn't part of the cool gang, that wasn't part of the clique, and I think a lot of people have just identified
Yes.
with Chubby because of that. And that's the majority of people in high school from any generation.
True.
Most of us were underdogs. The vast majority, sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then was it 2 years later you get a phone call that they're doing a sequel? What were you excited for that, or?
Yeah, I was, kind of disappointed that Michael J. Wasn't going to be on board, but I think I had met Jason and knew he would be a good replacement. And then after meeting and working with Styles' replacement, Stuart Fratkin, it all just kind of fell into place. I mean, you get a part two. That's it was pennies from heaven, and it was a lot of fun. We just kind of got away with murder. We're riding around a Corvette with Cazal sunglasses on and outrageous outfits. And just we were all on a campus and great restaurants and stuff. And it was just it wasn't my favorite film by any means, but I think I probably had more fun when I wasn't in front of the camera than any other film that I worked on.
Absolutely, yes. And we've got more segues on this interview than an Orlando retirement home, because you mentioned getting away with murder. And so you have been, in a lot of horror films, and that's where it's sports films, it's horror films, it's coming of age. Are you a fan of horror? Are you a type of person that gets scared by them, or you could just watch them all day long?
I'm not in the category of horror fan, or really a fan of anything in particular. Most of my younger life or whatever I spent in rehearsals, when television was on. So I people would go, "Hey man, that's so and so from the so and so TV show," and I'd go, "Never heard of it." Seriously? Yeah. It was so I was deprived of a lot of stuff, and when I would pony up to rent a VHS or something, I was trying to get something I could learn from, like The Pawnbroker, or I can't tell you how many times over my life I've watched Godfather and Godfather Part 2.
Yes.
But I did love this, especially really bad horror films, going back to Rodin and Plan 9 from Outer Space. And then, you flash forward to things like Motel Hell, which is just still one of my favorites or whatever. And then there was some legitimately scary shit out there.
Yeah.
I think one that I always go back to, I guess you'd put it in the horror genre, and I have to watch it at least every couple of years, is Something Wicked This Way Comes with Jason Robards.
Yep.
So
such a classic. Absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of the horror genre, so I actually lived in Anamosa, Iowa for 2 years, and that's where John Wayne Gacy was held. That's the prison he went to. So when you were getting ready for that role to play John Wayne Gacy, what was that like? Did you watch old documents of him? Did you watch old news clips? What was that like?
Well, you have to remember that at that time you weren't able just to Google anything you wanted.
Yeah.
But that was something that was on the nightly news. It was on the radio during the day. It was a story that got worse and worse and worse, and it was inescapable. if you were an adult by the time that happened, or even, you know, in your teens. So I knew the story. And I think I had seen the Brian Dennehy portrayal or whatever. I had, of course, the script to work with, but I didn't have a lot of time to, like, you know, go to Boston and hang out and pick up the accent, or, you know, stuff like that. It just, you know, I didn't have those things at my disposal. So I pretty much, you know, knew enough, and just executing the role. You know, I pretty much knew where he had his gear loose, without doing a lot of digging and calling up psychologists. And
Yeah.
you know, it would have been great, but I just didn't have that luxury.
Well, it still looked fantastic.
It's such a great movie. It really is.
Really.
People are fascinated with serial killers. They always will be, and that's just a thing that's a human nature, human psyche kind of situation.
Well, you know, horror fans, there's probably the most loyal to a genre of any of the film fans, and most of these people are just walking encyclopedias.
Yeah.
Yes.
About, you know, what came out when, or no, that was part 2, and know the soundtracks and who was in it or whatever. And I'm just amazed at you know, the devotion these people have to the undead.
I consider myself in that camp. Oh, well,
Cool.
you know, just that was a secret treat for me. You know, my parents, you know, we worked all the time. They were sort of strict, but on the rarest occasion, like, come on, stay up and watch a horror film. So it was always a treat, because it was something you couldn't normally do. And I just fell in love with old Slocky. You mentioned Plan 9 from Outer Space and Ed Wood and all that. And yeah, I love it. Leprechaun, I'm going to put that in there. I could watch Leprechaun all the time.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Leprechaun, you came back for the origin story. How was that?
Say again.
When you got to come back for the origin story of Leprechaun, how was that?
Oh, yeah. It's actually, technically it's part 2, because the other films really had nothing to do with the original Leprechaun.
Mm-hmm.
So number 8 is actually part 2 in my mind. You just flash forward 25 years later, and your connection is, of course, the house, which is now a sorority house, and creepy old Oz is still around, and the Leprechaun, he's about 2. So that was a lot of fun, and I had actually become a hermit at that point, and I moved out of California. I wanted nothing to do with the business, and I thought, you know, that's it. I hung up my spurs, as they say in the old Westerns.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to have a friend that I had done an interview with, and he passed me along an email, and I said, okay, I'll read the script. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of shit. And I read it, and I found myself laughing. And the next thing I know, you know, I committed to it. I was on my way to Cape Town, South Africa for a little bit, about 5 weeks. And that was a hoot and a half, because I had not been to Africa before. I haven't been many places, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So my next question also is another one of your great roles. Growing up, I even though I'm wearing a basketball jersey, but baseball was it for me. I loved, and my great grandmother would tell me stories of, you know, the women's baseball league, and you know, a league of their own was something that I still, so there's conventions now, there's horror conventions. One of the conventions I ever went to was the first one back in 2008. I walked in, I could hear the Rockford Peaches song, and there was ladies that were 50 or 60 years old, and they were dressed in the outfits, and they were at the convention just going through, and it was one of the most wonderful things. And Stillwell Angel at the end, just being in such a pivotal part at the end. I'm a crier at movies too, and I still tear up at League of Their Own. What was the experience like, just for even the moment you were in that film?
Oh, Penny Marshall is a wonderful director, and she set the tone. Of course, you're shooting in the Baseball Hall of Fame
In Cooperstown.
and you have those ladies, same ladies that you're talking about. They were on the set, had them to talk to, and everything was ready to roll. I mean, they were ready to light it. Or no, it was already lit. I mean, they were ready to light the fuse, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
And she said, "Come with me," and then got 2 or 3 other people, and we went up to the theater in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and they put on the show. And I sat there watching it with her, and I got the feeling this is something that really inspires her, and she wanted to share it with me. And so it was a magical moment. And I had somebody told me, Penny really likes sake. So I had bought a little bottle of sake with a little, sake cup or whatever, small, just a little, thank you gift, and took it along. And I expected to give it to her at the end of the day. But I reached over and grabbed it, took it up there, and I just handed it to her during the film. And she opened it, took a little sip, didn't mention it. But, she had a little smile on her face, and, wasn't no reason to say anything at that point. But that really set the tone for me. It was a magical moment. And so when we went back down, it was time to nail it.
Wow.
And I think I am, I'm very hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you put a gun to my head and said, "What is your favorite performance?" I probably would pick that one.
Yeah, it was great. The emotional, you carried that emotional weight really well. So it always stuck in my mind. And again, I'm a horror fiend, but that role of yours is my favorite as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, Mark, what are you working on anything these days? What do you got? Anything coming out or?
Well, I'm going to conventions. I'm getting ready to go to Atlanta to Days of the Dead here this coming weekend, actually. So I'm all stoked about doing that,
Yeah.
And I've got stuff to wear now. I don't know if this will go along, on this one, but it'll certainly be out there, spring and summer and the fall.
Oh yeah.
But that's just been something that I'm pretty new at. I mean, I think I've only been to 3, and so this is a whole new world for me. And I understand Atlanta's just going to be a mind blower. I can't wait.
Yes.
So it will be fun. And I have a film called no, you know what? I'm not even going to mention it because every time I do, people, hello, are we there?
Oh, no,
I'm here. Yeah. I just had
Okay.
a brief thing.
Yeah. No, people keep asking me, when is it coming out or whatever, but I never know. So I'm just going to sit on it. I'm going to wait.
There you go.
You get tired of saying, well, it could be any day now,
Oh,
but things happen, when you're giving birth to a new project like that, my part's over with, but there's still a lot of people, doing a lot of work. So anyway.
Absolutely. I've just got one final question, if that's all right, Dustin.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned Westerns earlier, Mark. Is that something you'd ever want to do? Being an absolutely traditional sort of Western? I think that would be really entertaining.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do what was it they used to call them back in the day, a horse opera.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I love things like, Tombstone and Open Range, and, going back to even, the old Westerns like Shane, for me is probably the definitive American Western.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And they keep cranking out some pretty good stuff, and I need to catch up on a lot of the westerns that are out there. But yeah, sure, man. You know, I do a western in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
There you go, Hollywood. Let's put Mark in a westerns. Make that happen.
And make it happen.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for doing this interview with us. We really appreciate it. We hope we can have you back on sometime. And I mean, y'all come check out Mark. He'll be in Atlanta this weekend. And
Days of the Dead in Atlanta. Good con. Check it out.
Yeah. And if you have a special birthday coming up for somebody, you can hit me up on Cameo, and I'll help you conspire against your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, whoever, your best friend, and come up with something that they may not be expecting, which is a lot of fun.
I bet it's amazing fun. We'll put the link to your Cameo in the description of our video.
Thank you very much.
Well, y'all, thank you for joining us for another episode of Hollywood Interview. We'll see you next time.